I'm Mike.
And I'm Adam.
And this is Stuff and Waffle. Two friends talking about stuff, and often as not, waffling with frequent reference to Bond cars.
It is a sensitive subject that I know will bother you enormously. And it will, and you'll have a method to deal with it.
Okay.
The hazardous process of transporting a takeaway home in the car.
Yes. Oh, that is a very, very tricky motoring task. Yes, I agree.
Because the problems are twofold. Because you don't want the contents all over the car.
You do not.
But you still want to keep it warm.
Oh, yes, that's true. Yes. That's true. Depends how long your journey is, I suppose.
Well, this is true. I tell you what, it came about because my friend Mark, he is enormously fond of a McDonald's breakfast.
Well, as we all are.
We all are. We're all guilty.
We are guilty of enjoying that. Yeah,
lusting after a McMuffin of a morning.
Oh yeah, it's a really good way to start. Yeah.
However, his nearest McDonald's is about 7 miles away.
Oh, tricky.
Which, on a clear run, not too bad, but invariably there are going to be some queues because he's leaving quite a large town and heading to the outskirts.
Oh, you could get messed up with that.
Yeah. So he's developed a technique. I commend him for it. It's not very comfortable if you're in the vehicle, but it will sort your breakfast out.
Oh dear.
What he does is he travels to McDonald's and he makes sure that the car's fully warmed up. That's the best way to put it. So the temperature gauge is in the sweet spot, and then he'll crank the heating right up, and he'll direct it all to the footwell.
Yes, that's important. Yeah.
So he does all of that. So he should achieve full temperature and a warm footwell by the time he gets to McDonald's. He'll make his purchase, and then he stows it all away in the passenger footwell.
Yeah, that's a good choice. Yeah.
That's it. So hit the 7-mile return journey. That is getting superheated while the occupants sweat their tits off. Even with the windows open, with all of with the heater on maximum, all directed at the footwell, you're getting quite a lot of bounce back heat.
The curry is getting priority service there, isn't it? Yes.
That's his recognised technique. He's very proud of that.
That's very good.
And it keeps his McDonald's breakfast warm, and his wife is exceedingly happy upon his return.
I like the happy wife, happy life.
Well, there you go.
Yes.
Personally, we fortunately don't have too long a journey. Should a takeaway be acquired?
Well, we're in the delivery zone, but that doesn't mean I don't sometimes collect, because delivery times can obviously vary.
Well, this is true. Well, I'm sure they say that on their website.
They do. Yes, that's right. Of course, delivery times can vary wildly if I'm collecting as well, but
yeah, super speedy.
Yes.
What I've taken to doing in recent times is when I set off, I'll put the passenger heated seat on.
Good choice.
And
leather seats in your car.
Leather seats, and my horrific coat that I've had for, probably decades now, that I am not precious about. I'll put that on the seat, so that warms up too. Then I'll put the takeaway on the pre-warmed seat, leave the heated seat on, obviously. And then I'll fold the coat up over the takeaway. Then I'll strap it in.
Oh, use of the seatbelt.
Yeah.
Ah, nice touch.
Yeah, so
touch.
It doesn't matter whether it's a bit of Chinese or a bit of curry or whatever on my coat. I couldn't care less. That thing has seen far worse.
Yeah, well, I'm sure.
That's it.
Yeah.
And the Volvo heated seat, if you put it on setting 2, it's like a furnace.
Right.
So yeah, you are fine.
You're fine with that. So you're keeping it warm. It's stabilized. It's strapped in. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
that's very good.
Yeah, and there's no splashback because it's in my atrocious coat.
It's in your coat, so any splashback would be contained. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, there you go. Some dedication there. Do you do anything specific when you arrive back at the car with your takeaway?
I do. Well, the Tesla has, and I don't know if this is something that Elon has specifically built in. It's entirely possible that he has. You know what he's like. But in the boot, there is, on the left-hand side of the boot, as you look into it, there's a sort of deeply recessed area between. There's like a strengthening bar that goes across the car. I think it's for the ones that have got the rear, they've got the seats in the boot where they strengthen the rear area. Mm-hmm. There's a strengthening bar that goes across. So you've got the main boot area, and then right in the corner, behind the lights, there is this sort of recessed area that is the perfect size for just dropping down a takeaway bag.
Oh,
and it won't go. It's protected on all sides by the car's crash protection system. So there's great steel girders on either side of it. It's really nicely. It's a perfectly sized takeaway pocket.
Oh, you're in safe hands.
You are in that car. It's absolutely perfect for it. It's just the right size. On the other side, on the right-hand side of the car, there is no such pocket because I think part of the audio system or something, the subwoofer or something, is in the equivalent corner on the other side. But on the left-hand side, there's this perfect. So you just open the boot, drop that in there. Now, there's nothing there to keep it warm because it is in the boot, but I don't often have far to go.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a very fast car.
Yeah, you got that wrapped up fairly quickly.
Get away with it. But in previous cars, I was very much front passenger footwell. And then, for years, I've always kept a blanket in the boot. So that would come out and be wrapped around it to stop it toppling over. I've never turned the heating on, though. That's interesting. I've never thought to do that. But as I say, I've never had that far to go. I've never lived that far from a takeaway. So I've always used the passenger footwell with something wrapped around it to stop it falling over. But as I say, in the Tesla, it's got this mysterious place that is the perfect size.
Because you see, when you mentioned the Tesla, I thought, I know what he's done. I thought you would have engaged the winter fireplace mode.
Well,
good
we tried
God.
that once, didn't we?
We did.
Romantic mode, it's called.
Romantic mode. Good God. I suppose if you left it on long enough, it would make you remove all of your clothing.
I think that's the idea. Yes. Dear God, that was hot.
That was too much.
That was unbelievable. And it heated up so fast. I didn't believe it was possible for a car to get that hot that quickly.
Honestly, that was too much.
The climate control on hot, on full, all the heated seats on full, all at once.
But the problem was unbelievable.
And then I couldn't find the way to turn it off.
Oh God, that was it. We just sat there in it, but the problem is we didn't know it was coming. We thought it was just the screen.
Yeah, the fireplace. And then the romantic music started. And we're in the middle of a car park. And it was really loud and I couldn't turn it down.
It wasn't a good look, was it?
It wasn't great. The windows steaming up.
Not our finest hour.
It wasn't. But as you say, we didn't expect it to do that. I didn't know it did that.
No, that was it. I mean, it was December, wasn't it? And we ended up having to get out of the car and that is just too much.
You couldn't breathe in there.
Superheated.
Yes. You wouldn't have believed it was possible for it to get that hot that quickly. It says a lot for its heating system. But of course, you can seal the car because it's got the one of the extras I had on mine was what Elon calls the bioweapons defense mode, which is the HEPA filter it's got in the front. It'll filter the air coming into the car and it'll seal the cabin. The idea is if you're driving through a really heavily polluted city or something, it will clean the air as it's coming into the car.
I mean, that is quite clever.
Yeah.
The last thing you want to do at that particular moment is when you're sealed up is drop a fart.
If you buy a Tesla, you're going to have to be careful with that. because you might kill yourself. If you have a moment while bioweapons defense mode is on, you might actually.
Oh, you're just going to keep recirculating your own airborne toxic event.
Yeah. It's not designed to deal with the toxins that are already in the car.
No, that's all it's got to work with at that point.
It's got to stop them getting it. See, in that instance, it's not what it expected. The air outside is cleaner than the air inside. It's not designed to work that way round.
Well, I like to push the boundaries.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll test that good and proper. Yes.
That's it. Yes. What I need, in addition to this bio defense mode, is a bio release mode.
Yes, dear Elon, is it possible to put the bioweapons defense mode in reverse? What happens if the toxicant is already in the vehicle?
What I'd like on the touchscreen is a purge button, please.
Yes. Can we evacuate? Can we turn the inside of the car into a vacuum? Because that's the only way to deal with that.
That's what horrible thing to say.
Guys. I read the other day that David Hasselhoff, the Hoff,
very good.
Don't hassle the Hoff.
I have no intention to.
No, I think it's best. Was auctioning off some cars, and one of them was a screen-used kit.
Oh, very good. Yeah.
The Trans Am from Knight Rider.
Mm-hmm.
He owned one of the ones that was used.
Oh, right. He kept hold of one.
He kept hold of one. Yeah, all this time, and he was auctioning it off. It just got me thinking. Cars of the TV shows when we were young. Knight Rider was a big one for me.
Well, it's always going to be a highlight, that, wasn't it?
I think so. I think it is for a lot of people. Yeah.
Well, the car was another star in the show, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, perhaps even more so. Some would argue. Yeah, not another example of actually not of a particularly good car, but
no, not really.
Its position in the story and how they made it look made it cool. And as we know, coolness has got nothing to do with whether it's any good or not. Yeah, the kit Trans Am was very special. Knight Rider had a big impact on me when that came along. And of course, a lot of things that car did are now actually possible.
Oh, that's it. You think, oh, that was the S-Class of its day, wasn't it? That
in some ways, yeah. Absolutely.
All of the future tech, and there it is.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, Knight Rider was a special one for me. Dukes of Hazzard was another one that I used to watch.
Yeah, another one that's going to just appeal to youth at that age, isn't it?
And it did. I used to love that. I used to watch that every week on a Saturday night. I used to think that was fantastic.
Well, that was the height of entertainment then, wasn't it?
I was, absolutely. It was Knight Rider, Dukes of Hazzard, and the A-Team.
Yep. Did you... I know it's not particularly car related, but a bit of Airwolf just for good measure.
Yeah, I did. I wasn't a massive fan of that.
Not religiously watching, but
no,
it fit into that similar sort of category of.
It did
a little bit of cheese there.
A little bit.
Well, all of it.
Yes, all the cheese, all in one evening. Yes, yeah, absolutely. They were tremendous.
Yeah, proper bit of telly that actually.
Yeah, but proper kind of simple cars. Actually, there was nothing there that was particularly complicated. I mean, even Dukes of Hazzard, we got a Dodge Charger with a naughty flag on the roof.
Yeah, that's presented its own issues these days, hasn't it?
That has presented its own issues. Yes, for people with Lee replicas. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that you would not want to be in possession of one of those.
No, but of course, people are.
Well, that's the problem. It's like everyone bought one. And went, oh, should we paint it orange? And
should we?
Yeah. Let's do that.
Yeah, let's do a Duke's replica. That would be cool, wouldn't it?
Dear.
Yeah. Yes. Well, of course, they destroyed so many in the making of the show. I mean, thousands of them were absolutely demolished, and the Plymouth Fury police cars as well. were just, again, and apparently they used real ex-police cars in the show. Just repainted them, and off you went. Light bar on the roof, and off you go.
Yeah, job done, and twat it on the nearest thing.
There you go. Yes, over a river or whatever, and make it look cool. Wheel out another one because that one's had it, and off we go again.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
but it got me thinking about favorite prominent car TV shows and movies from that era. Someone mentioned to me the other day that they'd rewatched Smokey and the Bandit. That was another one of that ilk. Again, the Trans Am, the earlier Trans Am,
previous
Knight Rider.
Yeah.
But again, jumping all over the place and pretty cool, really. Not good, but cool.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And I think there's just less and less of it now, isn't there?
You don't get that sort of stuff anymore, do you?
I suppose the closest thing in recent times, and it may just be my, I don't know, detachment from popular culture, but think back to when they did the modern take on the Transformers films.
Yeah, yes.
Those cars in themselves became stars as well. And
yes, they did.
There were special editions of those from
they did do that, didn't they? Yeah, they really jumped on that bandwagon. Yeah.
I think that's a good idea, but again, it comes back to predominantly American muscle cars.
It does, yes, absolutely, and that is kind of what we're talking about, isn't it?
It is. I mean, but mind you, you can segue onto the sort of British television, and you think, well, yeah, again, they may not be good, but there's some of them might be cool, or some of them might be there for comedy value.
Yes, depends on the series. Yes, indeed. I mean, if you're talking Del Boy's van, then clearly that was only there for one reason.
Yeah, comedy. Mind you, any vehicle associated with him. I mean, the fact that in the early episodes of the first series with the Vauxhall Velox,
yes,
Del Boy was a bit pissed and could barely even say it.
Yes.
It was
the Vauxhall Velox.
Yeah. Just absolutely brilliant. It was,
and that's what it was known as from that point on.
That's it, and it was just such a perfect bit of car casting, just for that joke.
That's true.
Because
there were some quite good vehicles in that actually through the years.
Yeah. I think back, it was. You remember Mike had the XR3.
Mike had a red XR3. He did XR3i.
It was an I, wasn't it? Yeah,
it was an I. It was
4. Yeah.
Yes, that was proper. Yes, I remember that. In a very early one, Boise had a Series 3 E-Type.
Second episode, wasn't it?
Very good. Yes.
Yes,
white one. Was that the same episode with the Cortina?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Yes.
That they sold to Skippy.
They did. Brakes a bit spongy.
What bloody brakes?
Yes.
Yeah.
The thing's a death trap. Yes.
That's a good episode. Yeah, again, strong car episode as well. Look what you've done. You've crashed Boise's E-Type Jaguar.
Good stuff. Very good stuff. But we had Granadas and things later on, which were, always nice to see.
Yeah. And what else was in there? Oh, the Pratmobile.
Of course. Now, see, there's an example of a car they took that was very popular and very cool, and they made it incredibly uncool.
They did, and it was beautifully done. It was
the Capri gear.
Yeah. The extreme Del Boy.
Yes.
The interior.
Yeah.
Was something to behold.
The fairy dice. I mean, it had every Halford's accessory you could find stuck on it.
Yes. Really nicely done, that.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, there was a lot of TV series that were not about cars at all, but you look at them now and simply from their age, there's some quite interesting stuff in them. You look at it, not stuff like Life on Mars or Ashes to Ashes that are deliberately looking back at the past.
Yeah.
But stuff that was actually made in that era. You can spot some tremendous stuff.
Yeah, it's always lovely doing that.
Yeah, it is.
And like you say, the particularly sort of BBC stuff, you think back and go, well, this is this is firmly not a car program. And I know you and I had a brief off podcast discussion that wasn't car related about coupling the other day.
We did. What a wonderful series.
Oh, I enjoyed that. But do you remember in the third ever episode, you get to see Steve's car?
Yeah.
Citroen DS.
Where the hell did that come from?
That was what an inspired choice.
Yeah. Absolutely genius. It's never mentioned though, is it? They
No.
never refer to it.
Not at all.
He's just in it one and we never see it again.
No, that was it. He's in it and they put, there's 4 of them in the back, as I recall.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely superb.
There's someone who worked on that series who knew their cars.
That was it, because you remember there was that sort of almost a flashback episode of how Patrick and Sally actually met, and it was at an office party.
Yes,
of Susan and Jeff's.
That's right.
And everyone got invited because they were girlfriend and boyfriend of someone else.
That's right, and that was the first time the group was together. Yeah,
yeah, but they didn't. Yeah, they didn't know it.
They didn't know each other. Yeah,
no. And it was that flashback, and they take this scene from Sally's perspective and from Patrick's perspective, and
yes, that's right.
She asks him in her version of the scene, "How did you get here?" And he says, "Car." But then when you go to Patrick's version of it, BMW M3 Midnight Blue.
Yes.
It's like absolutely brilliant.
Yes, perfect. Yes, that's exactly.
But good heavens, we do see one of Patrick's other cars.
We do, don't we?
Do you remember what it was?
Oh, now let me think. And part of me wants to say Porsche.
It's not. I'm going to give you.
No.
I won't tell you what it is, but I am going to say it is in complete context here. Dog shit.
Okay.
It was a Lexus SC430.
Very good. No, I wouldn't have got that.
Hideous vehicle.
Yes, absolutely. Is that the car he's got when he says his big end's gone?
No.
Captain subtext goes into overload.
No, it was the following series, actually. I think I got a feeling it was in that episode where Jane turns up and she says she's having trouble parking.
Oh, yes.
And he goes out to help and then comes back with a policeman soaking wet and said, "Jane, will you please explain to this officer why I've been standing behind your car for the past 10 minutes shouting, 'Park, you stupid bitch.'"
Yes. Yes, because she'd gone back inside.
Just having a break.
Yeah. Oh, that is such a tremendous series. I'm going to have to rewatch those now.
But yes, he had a Lexus SC430, and I do recall that James and Jeremy, in one of their Top Gear special DVD things, declared that their worst car ever.
Oh, very good. Okay.
And I think as well, you'll find that it was, they may have even mentioned it on their show, it was last production car to be sold with the cassette player as standard.
Wow, now I like that.
But you've got to think, with it being Japanese, they have the doubled-in stereos. So while it did have cassette, there was CD as well.
There was CD as well. Oh, very good. Yes, okay. I like that. That's a really pervy fact. Yes, I like that. That's very good. No, I'd forgotten that was his car. I remember he had a Beamer.
Yeah, that was it. We never saw
it. No, we never saw it. It was the Beamer, wasn't it? I think that had the big end that went. And Captain Subtext went into overload. Yes.
Yes. It's somewhat different to Jeff. Cleft. Bicycle saddle. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, grotty little man.
Yes. What a shame he wasn't in there for the last series. But
that was a great shame, yes, because they tried to replace him with another kind of same character, didn't they? And it didn't work.
That did not work. Yes, he's got curly hair, but send him away, please.
Yes, he's curly hair and he's trying to do a Welsh accent, but it doesn't work.
Which is amusing because Rich Coyle is not Welsh.
He's not Welsh, but he did the accent beautifully.
He did, yeah.
And it really added something to the character. Wonderful series. But no, I was. We have strayed somewhat from.
We did. There's a bit of Citron and a bit of Lexus in there, but it's fine.
Citron was an inspired choice. Somebody on that show knew what they were doing with that. That was not there by accident.
No, that's very specific.
Yeah, it is.
That has to be someone involved in production had it and went, "Oh, this will be good."
It could have been their own car, couldn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was lovely. But the fact that there was never any reference to it.
No, completely. As far as I recall, the only time we see Steve operating a vehicle,
yes, is in that scene. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's it. And then obviously out they jump, and it's off to play Reservoir Dogs.
Yes. Well, you have to, don't you?
Standard practice. Even on a somber occasion, I'm afraid. Yeah, the childish nature comes out, doesn't it?
Got to be done. Got to just don't get into the giggle loop.
Oh God, yes. And with Jeff's constantly imagining everyone naked.
Yeah, that doesn't go well.
No, that doesn't. And particularly the funeral thing. I can't turn off the naked people.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah. Oh God, and all three of them are stood behind the coffin imagining the girls, aren't they then?
Yes, they are.
Oh,
yes.
The undertakers come over and go, "Would you like us to open the lid?" I'd probably do the trick, actually. Yeah. Oh dear.
It's very wrong.
It is. But I still giggle at it every time.
Yes.
It's pathetic.
Well, moving on from that, if we can. The other thing that got me thinking about cars in TV shows and things was the recent announcement of the relaunch of Frasier. And I got thinking about that and another sitcom, which, again, was actually in parts quite car heavy, which was Seinfeld. And of course, Jerry Seinfeld being a huge petrol head.
Yeah, he's a car guy. Yeah.
Big car guy. Actually, there are some quite tasty cars in both those series. Frasier, of course, always driving a BMW. His brother Niles always driving a Mercedes. And
yes, their dad giving him constant stick for not driving an American car.
That's right. Yes, your fancy foreign rubbish. Yes, that's right. Yes, and they had various BMWs and various Mercedes over the years. And I think you mentioned the other day, they put Daphne in a Focus saloon.
Yeah, she had a red one, didn't she?
Yes.
I mean, that's quite specific. I can't imagine the Focus selling particularly well in America.
The Hatch did. I think the Hatch did okay, but yeah.
Where did the saloon come from?
Yeah, I don't know. Again, it's very specific, isn't it? I mean, somebody's probably made that choice.
Yeah, someone's made a conscious decision. I mean, unless it's we rang Ford and that's what they gave us. So I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I mean, the Frasier and Niles' cars were always quite specific. Frasier started with a 535.
Their choice of car was inspired, actually. A lot of thought had gone into that, I think.
I think so, yeah. Because they're both... Well, it embodied them, didn't it? They were... I remember David Hyde Pierce, who played Niles, originally said when he first was sent the scripts and he read it and said, well, this is ridiculous. They've just written the same character twice. And I think that it's kind of... Frasier and Niles are the same character. And again, the fact that they both choose big luxury German saloon cars, but one is BMW and one is Mercedes, that's perfect.
Yeah, but that's
almost the same, but not quite.
And those two are fantastic. Yeah, the chemistry is just perfect.
Yeah, it is absolutely brilliant, and it was so well written, well written. And it wasn't just a comedy. There was a lot of moments of sadness in it as well, and drama.
Yeah, it was just well done, and like we mentioned the other day, just treat it with care.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's not reboot it for the sake of it. Let's do it nicely. Yeah,
it's encouraging that it's the original cast. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, as I say, Seinfeld is another one. He had a BMW, he had a number of Saabs. There was a Honda NSX in it at one point.
God, I think I remember that. Actually, I think, that is very specific for an American sitcom.
It is. absolutely. I think
Oh,
Newman had one, which
hang
again
on.
is so out of context.
Was it badged Honda or Acura?
Good question. Yeah, it might well have been Acura, mightn't it?
It's worth looking up because I think both were available.
It was a take on the scene from Pulp Fiction, wasn't it? At the end, Harvey Keitel's character, and Newman was supposed to be the secret troubleshooter, and he turned up in the black, NSX.
I've had to satisfy my curiosity. I've done a quick Google and
Oh, very good.
Yes, it was indeed an Acura.
An Acura, but of course the car casting in that will probably have come from Jerry Seinfeld.
He would have had a massive hand in that, in the same way that Steve Coogan would have in, well, I would say Alan Partridge, but most things he's in.
Well, everything he's in, yeah. I mean, Sexton and his Mustang was spot on. Partridge and his Rovers, yeah. The car casting is always spot on. Yeah,
excellent choices.
Yeah.
I tell you what, there's one thing when we're on the topic of American sitcoms. Do you remember that in Friends there was an MGB?
I do not. No.
Now that cropped up. Ross bought one.
Really? I don't remember that at all.
The joke played out that he bought it as something. I've got a feeling it was something to do with 30th birthday, a little treat to himself.
Oh, okay.
And he shows everyone, and it's parked between two cars really tightly. They've parked close to him. And the joke is he can't get out of the parking space.
Right.
By the time he does, at the end of the episode, as kind of the after credits scene, a middle-aged, large chap drives past in another one and says to him, "How cool are we?" And then he gets rid of it immediately.
That's very good.
Just one episode of MGB. Yeah, nice.
Don't remember that at all. I have just thought of there's a Seinfeld episode called the Parking Garage. The whole show is in a multi-story car park,
right?
Because they've gone shopping for an air conditioner and they've bought one. Kramer's bought an air conditioner and he's carrying it in this box, but they can't remember where they've parked. And the whole show is walking around the multi-story car park looking for Kramer's car. There's some cracking stuff in that. If you look in, it wasn't a real multi-story car park. It was built on a studio, and they just kept moving the cars around the same bit of car park to make it look like they were walking around. There's some quite interesting stuff in that. That's a good car episode.
I do recall, actually, one of my ultimate favorite 90s cars that does appear, and I'm wondering whether it's anything to do with the same episode. My knowledge is a bit lacking because it's been a while since I watched Seinfeld, but it was definitely in a car park. I'm sure, I got a feeling it was a multi-story, but like I said, it may not have been the episode you're referring to, but there was a Subaru SVX.
I think that is that episode.
Yeah. It's like I said, it's been a long time, but yeah, I think that could have been that. He's got a massive hand in picking these cars.
I think he has. Now, there's another one you'll like this, that's very special in Seinfeld. Kramer, in several episodes, drives the same car. It's a pale green Chevy Impala.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, it's used in a lot of scenes. There's one scene where he's parking it in a space that it doesn't fit in, and he's just nudging the car in front forwards and nudging the car behind backwards so that he can fit in. He's just bumping back and forwards.
Yeah.
Well, he's in. Apparently, that car was no ordinary Chevy Impala. It was one of 1,000 1973 Impalas that General Motors had fitted with what was at the time an experimental front airbag system.
Really?
Yeah. So that car with the license plate Assman, which was featured in one episode because Kramer gets sent the wrong plates. That car was one of 1,000 experimental cars that had an airbag system. I cannot believe that was an accident.
Yeah, I think you might be right. You think he'd probably have had asked for that, hadn't he?
Maybe so. That car features in several episodes. Kramer drives it in several scenes, but yeah, it was one of 1,000. Pretty
That's
cool.
impressive.
Yeah,
That's
the sort of little detail we like.
The synapses are starting to fire a little bit with you talking about this multi-story episode. And there is, I believe, one of the very few Mercedes I would like to own. I think features.
Yes.
It's the R129, the SL.
Yes, there is one. Yes, because doesn't George say he wants to spit in it?
That does sound familiar.
And then the guy comes back. He can't. Yeah. Yes.
That was it, yeah. Because that's one of those. An SL500. That's I could do that.
That's the SL500. Harry had a SL500, didn't he?
Oh, he did, didn't he? He used to. He took it out of Monaco, didn't he?
Yes, and they used to keep it in the south of France. I don't know if he's still got it. I think he has.
Perfect car for down there.
Yes. Well, he thought so. Yes.
A part of me wants to say he had a 600.
It was a V12.
Oh, then yeah, definitely 600 because I think the 500 was V8.
Ah, you may be right.
Oh, heavens, let's ask the internet.
Yes, Harry Metcalf, Mercedes SL.
Right, I'm just going to look up the car first, just to make sure I'm not.
He's got 2 SLs though, so
yes, an old one, isn't he?
He's got an old one that caught fire last year.
Right. Well, looking at the car history in general, then yes, the 500 was a V8 and the 600 was a V12.
Well, his was definitely a V12. So yes, Harry, it's a 1993 SL 600.
There we go.
That he keeps in the south of France. Yes. If you've got a yacht in the south of France, you'll keep a car there, won't you?
Yeah, you'll probably have a nice 90s Mercedes.
Is an SL 600 well remembered, sir? Well remembered. Yes, that's very good.
Awesome.
We don't like to get details wrong on this podcast.
No, we can't do that.
No, we are.
No, we'll to be get called out on that.
Yeah, we probably will. Yeah, absolutely.
I think you'll find. Yep, that sort of stuff.
That sort of thing, very nasally. Yes.
That episode that really does give up some treats.
It does. There's a lot of 90s stuff there, and earlier stuff in that. I seem to recall Kramer's car, the one they can't find but eventually do. I seem to remember from the extras on the box set, they talk about this, that brown Ford, they all get in it at the end. The very final scene, they found the car. They're late, everything's dead and broken, and they get in the car and it won't start. And apparently it not starting was genuine. It actually wouldn't start. And if you look closely at that final scene, you can see them all cracking up in the car. Because it wasn't supposed to not. They were supposed to get in it, start it up, and drive away. But it wouldn't turn over. And at one point you see it in the outtakes, Michael Richards, who plays Kramer, actually gets out of the car and walks around it and then gets back in and has another go. And it wouldn't start.
Not starting is actually really good.
It's perfect. They finally found the car and they still can't get out of there.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it was a beautiful touch that wasn't in the script. It was just a knackered old car that wouldn't start.
Yeah, it's one of those things now you look back at it and you go, actually, there was a lot of good stuff car-wise in there.
Yeah, I think that, definitely. Definitely. There's other stuff that is just kind of American stuff. I'm not sure what it was. There was the pink Cadillac at one point as well that Kramer has use of in one episode.
Oh yes, I think I do recall that one. The was it an Eldorado he had?
I think it's an Eldorado. Yeah, it was a pink Eldorado. Bright pink that he I can't remember how he gets use of it now.
That was quite late on, wasn't it? That one?
Yes, it was. That was quite a later one. Yeah, and of course, there's the whole episode about Jerry's Saab that gets stolen by his mechanic.
it.
because
Yeah,
he
I don't.
thinks he's not looking after it properly, so he confiscates it
Yeah,
and he goes off with it. And they eventually find it, and it's all, smashed up and ruined. And they treat it like a murder scene. It's got a white sheet over it.
yes.
And the police, the detective, lifts the front of the sheet up, and they all go, "Oh!" like it's a dead body.
Yeah, nicely done.
Yeah, beautifully done. Yeah, the car. If for a non-car based thing, there's a lot of good car action in that series.
Which is, yeah, I mean, and like you say, there's stuff in it. While there is quite a bit of American stuff, there's some really what must have been to an American audience obscure European cars and Japanese
Yeah,
cars.
absolutely. Yeah, I can't believe the Saab 900 convertible was a particularly common sighting, yet there it was.
No, it's strange. And like I mentioned, the Subaru. I don't think that was the only Subaru ever to feature in Seinfeld. I think there were more.
Probably. Well, it was Jerry, wasn't it? He's just such a huge petrol head that he would have been organising that in the background. Nothing will have been there by accident.
Good bit of respect for doing that. And
Yeah,
why not indulge it at that point? You're firmly in charge, so you may as well.
Yes.
Like in the same way that Coogan does.
Absolutely. You can influence it, so let's do it properly. Yeah.
That's it. I mean, you remember you're on about Saxondale, and do you remember
Saxondale, that was it.
when they did the he went to see essentially the parody of Jeremy Clarkson. He had the McLaren Mercedes SLR.
Yeah.
You think, well, yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, Jeremy loved that car.
He did. Yeah. Was that the one he drove
It was to Norway, that one.
to Norway and back? That's right. Yeah.
That was where Mr. Hammond was unwell.
Yes. Well, he often is.
Yes, broke all the boats and vomited heavily, and that was it.
And still lost. Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
those Top Gear races were good. I used to watch those over and over again.
Really enjoyed those. It's a slight tangent, but it is still TV and car related. Of all of the big races, which did you enjoy the most?
Oh. Let me think here. That's a very good question. I did enjoy that one, the SLR one. I enjoyed the Veyron. They did several where the boys went on a train or a boat or a plane and Clarkson went in the car. And I always enjoyed those.
My favourite because of the closeness of the finish and the car, it was the Ferrari 612 Scaglietti.
That was a good one.
A big V12 cruiser. Yeah, that's a bit of me. That those guys they took commercial flights for most of that, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They weren't mucking around. Yeah, absolutely.
And they without any staging it for TV, they converged in Verbier, didn't they? And Jeremy overtook them.
Yeah, overtook them on the hill going through the town. Yeah, he did. Yeah. Well, for me, I think it's not one of the ones that you would go to. It's probably not one that most people would choose, I would say, but it was one of my favorites that I watched a lot. And it was the economy run they did from Basel in Switzerland to Blackpool.
Oh, that was it? Because Jeremy had the Jag.
He had a V8 Jag XJ.
And
I thought, well, was it a V8 or was it the twin turbo diesel? I think it was the twin turbo diesel.
Didn't Richard have the Blue Motion Polo?
That's right, VW Polo Blue Motion, and May had a Subaru Legacy, and that was the race. And the Jag was the real hero of that because it made it. Technically, the Polo was declared the winner, but the Jag made it there despite Jeremy not driving it in any kind of economy way.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And when they got there, they measured how much fuel was left in the tank, and there was enough still in it to do another 100 miles or something like that. Yeah, absolutely incredible.
Yes.
And I really like that one. I really enjoyed that one because it was genuinely suspenseful, and you genuinely didn't know which of those cars was going to do it.
Because Jeremy was intending to cane it a bit so that he ran out of petrol near home.
That's right. He would run out in a nice, comfortable Jag just near his house, and he could go in and go to bed. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, that was excellent. Yeah, that was.
And it didn't, and it made it. It made it all the way.
That was it. And after all that, it was the Stig that turned on the lights.
The Stig beat them to the switch. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I really enjoyed that one. That was my favourite because it was a bit more kind of real world. They were more ordinary cars, and I just like that the Jag did so well.
You're always going to be biased there, aren't you?
I do like a Jag. The use of music in Top Gear was never given enough credit. It's changed when you watch them back on Dave, but
you think back. I mean, you know, I'm pervy when it comes to Pink Floyd, but do you remember the Leyland episode where they said, well, let's try and make a song out of the creaky bits and the noisy bits? And it turned into money.
It did. Yes.
When Dave can't afford to pay the rights to play that, and what they put in, you go, oh dear, this scene's gone horribly wrong.
Well, it must do, because
whatever they picked, you go, oh, this is no. I would have just cut it at this point.
Yeah. Oh, that's bad. That's bad. Just surely pay the royalty for that little bit.
Yeah. Talking about, actually, on a slightly Pink Floyd and specifically money related theme, for a car film that was dreadful, the remake of The Italian Job.
Yes.
Where it all goes to shit at the beginning.
Yes.
While they're driving through the mountains, they're playing the cover that Velvet Revolver did. So there's a nice little car tie.
Oh, very nice. There's another little pervy fact about that film. When they're having the chase, at one point, the minis go through the Los Angeles subway. They couldn't run, or they wouldn't let them run the minis through the subway because of the fumes. The city said it was too dangerous and they couldn't do it. They couldn't get permission to do it. So those 3 minis were converted to electric.
Really?
All the way back in whatever that film was, 2003, something like that?
2003,
yeah. They had little batteries. They didn't have much. They only had like 10 miles range, but they weren't allowed to use the engine. So they fitted up little batteries and motors in the boots that would drive the rear wheels of the car. And the special effects team, got it to work. So those 3 minis, when they're driving through the subway, are electric.
Fantastic. Love a bit of that.
Go. Thought you'd like that little detail. And they just dubbed on the engine sounds in post-production.
Here we go. I've got another pervy fact for you relating to that film. There was a BMW 850.
There was. I thought you were going to mention that. Yeah.
Which was driven by Jason Statham.
It was. Handsome Rob. Yeah, Handsome Rob. Yes.
Later on, I'm sure it was later actually. Let me just double check my dates, but I'm sure I'm talking sense. There was a film of some years later called The Informant.
Well, that sounds familiar. That sounds familiar, yeah.
And the same 850 rocks up in that.
Lovely. Love it when that happens.
Yes. Thought you'd like that.
When that happens. I mean, there is the nice little touch, of course, in that they give Charlene Theron's character a classic Mini.
Well, we say classic. That would have been not that far off the production line at the time.
Well, all right.
Yeah. 2003, and what did the original Mini ended? 2000, 2001?
2000, I believe. I'm at the risk of getting shot there, but I think it was 2000. The last original shape ones, we'll call them, rolled off the line. Yeah.
I mean,
It was a nice little nod, yeah. And the fact that they had red, white, and blue new minis.
that's about as much as a nod gets to it, other than them saying in the film, "Oh, we'll do it like the Italian job," and go, "Right, that's why it's called this."
That's
For
it.
no,
That is the only link. Oh well, and Donald Sutherland's character being called Bridger. That is it. He's not exactly Noel Coward.
no. Well,
Somebody has broken into my toilet.
Why do you say that? Mark Wahlberg, he was Charlie Croker.
Was he?
Well, in name only.
Yes, true.
You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off.
He wasn't. Yeah, the similarities between him and Michael Caine.
None.
It's a shame, and I have nothing against Donald Sutherland. It's a shame Michael Caine didn't play the Bridger character. That would have been sort of nice, I suppose. But the whole film's not. It's okay. Well, I think that's probably enough of that for this week. Check us out on all the various social medias and things. Thank you very much for listening.